Hey guys, another video today. I was actually recording my second part for Amon playthrough, and unfortunately, let's just say I brought up a topic of drop rates, and the whole video ended up being a fail. You see, I'm level 3 there on the right. I was level 2 when I ended the last video. Let's say part 2 recording was a fail, and it turned into a whole video of me talking about my opinions on the drop rates and my ideas and what I think would be the best way to design them. And I wanted to see if you guys disagree or agree, or what ideas you guys can add on to it. And I highly doubt anyone from Gearbox is watching this. I highly doubt, like the creative directors watching this. I highly doubt anyone would even watch this video. I'm willing to guess at least 15 views for the video. And I highly doubt anyone from Gearbox will watch this. But this is pretty much my opinion on the drop rates. And to stop it here, before I stop the scene here to go into the video, I've already recorded it, so this is pre-recorded, of course. I love this game to bits. I love it. I love the franchise, and I'm very positive about it. I am negative, of course. Of course, I've got to criticize it somewhere, but I'm not bitching about it. So it's not really much of a rant. It's more of just let's just sit down at a table and I'll tell you, all right? So I'll end it here and I'll let you guys watch the video. So I see you next video, I suppose. So yeah, see you guys. The problem I had with the game is just the drop rates. I think they need to rework the entire drop rate system. I think that system they have now, excuse me, if you play the game, you know the drop rates have 3 different segments. Like a boss, like Axmal, will have the battle axe grenade that will be like, that would be like his first drop. His second tier drop would be like something else, like a shield or something. I think it's another ordnance, I'm not sure. But then his third and final drop is the bod shotgun. But the bod is the rarest. I think that free loot tier system where every boss has tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 loot, I think needs to be completely scrapped. And I think they need to just have all 3 pieces of gear have a flat 10% straight up, just straight. That's what I think they need to do. That is my wish for this game, because I think the game by base is fantastic. I mean, the open world's awesome. I think the gameplay is great. All 4 characters are so much fun. I I really do think that they need to rework. In my personal opinion, they need to rework the drop system. But how would I design it? The way I would design the drop system is completely scrap the free loot tier system. Give all 3 pieces of gear that's on a boss, give them all 10% drop rate, and that's it. I'll just do that, because I think the way I see it is that the problem with the new update, I can't select it here, but in the new update they had ultimate mode now scales drop rate, which I think is phenomenal. The problem I've got with it is it kind of tunnel visions players into the hardest difficulty, which I think is a bad thing. I don't think you should tunnel players into ultimate mode, because I think the drop rate should be good on the lower difficulties, because the way I see it is... Let me pause again so I'm not talking over it. My problem with the drop rates is if they're going to be so low at lower levels, people want to get the guns, get the gear, and they want to make a build. If the drop rates are so low as like 3%, the time it takes you to get the item, a good one that matches the build, you're over it. You don't want to play the game anymore. So I think actually having low drop rates early is actually bad. So I think they should make it so scrap the tier 3 loot system. Like I said, Axmal has the bod as his tier 3 loot and the battle axe is his tier 1 loot, I believe. I think they should just scrap the tier loot system, make it 10% across the board for every single piece of legendary gear in the game, for every boss, every gear, every gun, everything. 10% across the board at normal mode. But then let's say at Ultimate Vault Hunter 1, it goes up to 12. Ultimate Vault Hunter 2, 14%. And then maybe it goes up 1 or 2% every level. So maybe at Ultimate Vault Hunter 6, it's like a 18% chance or like a 15% chance. Maybe it's like 1% per level or something like that, you know? So like 10% by base across the board for everything. But let's say every ultimate mode increases it by 2%. So by the time you get to, let's say, it's like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Let's say you've got 20% drop rate at Ultimate 5, so you got double drop rates at level Ultimate 5, and I believe at level, let's say Ultimate 10, if they make it that far, which I'm sure they would, it'll be like 30%. So the players are handsomely rewarded for playing on harder difficulties. Because, excuse me, like I said, if the drop rates are so, sorry, I'm really talking here, 'cause I really want to get my opinion out. Because I love the game, and I think the game really, gosh, I think it really needs some help right now. I think the game is fantastic. So I'm pausing a lot here. I'm talking a lot because I love the game. I love the franchise, and it just pisses me off that the franchise is so good, but the developers keep making the wrong choices. And I think that pisses a lot of people off. And that's my personal opinion on how they should design it. Not how they should, but how I would design it. If they put me in charge for 24 hours, that's what I'll tell them to do right off the bat. You know, it really disappoints me that the game is so good. But like I said, if the drop rates are so low, you know, like 3%, 4%, and you have to go, oh my God, oh my God, let me just concentrate. If you have to, if the drop rates increase with ultimate mode, my problem with that is it forces players to play on harder difficulties. Some players out there might not want to play on a harder difficulty, as well as if the drop rates are so low on earlier difficulties, scaling those difficulties is going to be a lot harder for the player because it's going to take longer to get your gear. I think for me personally, and I think players, majority of the player base, the ones I should care for, in my opinion, I think we just want to farm the gear and get out. We don't want to farm for wait. We don't want to farm for a week straight. We don't want 500 kill farms. We just want a good, fun but easy, fun but tolerable, I should say, fun but tolerable farming. Not to the point where we're farming for like 2 weeks straight to get a good version of a gun, but not quick enough that it feels redundant. I think 10% across the board for every item at base difficulty would be brilliant. I think that would make the game balanced for newcomers, so people who want to play on lower difficulties have a good chance of using all the items in the game. And I think it makes it good for players who want to play on higher difficulties, because since it's 10% by base, they can, like, you know, farm gear at 10%, get the good stuff, and get out. And it's like, finally, I've got the gear. I can finally make my build. Let's go. Okay, I farmed the guns and gear. Ooh, I might need a better class mod, actually. Then they can go, let's say, ultimate free, and all of a sudden, bang, it's like a higher percentage. I think I think they need to have a good baseline, which is going to be 10%, of course, and it goes up, because I think Tiny Tina's Wonderlands had that problem. And that problem was going up the ultimate, sorry, not ultimate, the chaos mode. Going up the chaos mode ranks was a bad idea because the ascended, primordial, they scaled with the chaos mode. But the thing is, you needed better gear to get up to the higher chaos mode. But since the chaos mode level was so low on your end, let's say you're chaos 10, the time it took you to get good guns, you'll be there forever. So that's my opinion on this drop system. That's what I think they need to do. I think the ultimate scaling is a phenomenal idea. I just don't like how they've designed it by base, how it's really low at first and it just becomes a slog to farm, but you get rewarded for going up the ranks. I think they need a 10% baseline across the board, ditch the loot system. They need to ditch it completely. What they really need to ditch I really think all they have to do is simplify it. They just need. I think the problem, in my personal opinion, is the drop rate system is too harsh and too ridiculous. I think It needs to be a good base point, which we all agree that 10% is perfect. All right. We all agree 10% is flatline perfect. I agree with that. Maybe even 15% might be flatline perfect, just to be a little more tolerable. All right. Especially for certain farms. Some farms might take longer than others. Some might have long run backs. Some may just be absolute dominant mountains of health bosses, you know. But for the little guys, I think 10% is pretty good. But that's my opinion on the drop system. I think they need a brilliant, tolerable 10%, let's all agree, baseline, and then the ultimate mode ranks up and it scales the difficulty. Sorry, the difficulty scales the drop rate above 10%. That's where I think it should be. I think there'll be a good and balanced way for people on lower ultimate modes to enjoy the game at their difficulty, as well as getting decent legendaries. You know, they're getting having fun. They're not punished for playing on low difficulties. They feel fun and fair. Lower difficulties, fun and fair for the newer comers, or the people who just enjoy the lower difficulties. But for players who play on higher difficulties, they get handsomely rewarded. So let's say excuse me, like by the time they get to Ultimate 5 and 10 and 6 and all that, they have like a 20% drop rate. They get double or triple the drop rates because they've already got most of their gear. And, as they go up, they can farm more and it's better. I feel like that would be a good balance between fun and fair for the lower difficulties. It's fun because it's easier and it's fairer on the drop rate. But I think the harder difficulty for the more hardcore, people who play like there's no time in the world, people who play real seriously, giving them that huge double, if not triple drop rate, like 2% every ultimate mode, I think would be great. I think that'll be good because it rewards them as well as players who enjoy lower difficulties can find an online build and maybe scale up the difficulty to, let's say, ultimate 10, have a stupid overpowered character. They can use that character as a farmer, farm all their gear with that character, and then bring them. Let's say you've got a Vex who's insanely overpowered. Use her on ultimate 10, farm the gear, for your low level 50 easy mode character because you enjoy, let's say, Ultimate 1 better. If you enjoy, let's say, Ultimate 1, and you want to make oh my god, what I'm trying to say is if you make a Rafa Exo Soldier that's level Ultimate 1, you don't want to go any higher, you can make a Amon or a Harlow or another Rafa even, or a Vex who's level Ultimate 10 and have that character farm all your gear really easily and then transfer it through the bank to your lower level character on Ultimate 1 because it might make it more funner for the players. I think they really need, I think the key to Borderlands and probably any video game is freedom and player customization for the game, not cosmetic customization. That's the first part. I mean the major part, which is they need to have a baseline, I believe, of fun and fair, in my opinion, and they need a customizable. So if it's easier, people who are playing easier aren't punished. Because in my opinion, if you're punished for playing on an easier difficulty, in my opinion, that is cruel, and I think it's really bad. There should be no shame in playing on an easier difficulty. If you shame people for playing on the easier difficulty, you deserve to be shot. Like you are actually a no life. All right, you need help, and you really need to seek some sort of probably spiritual guidance, or you actually need help. And the players who do play on harder difficulties are handsomely rewarded. So it feels fun for lower players, fairer for lower players, but it feels funner for low players who are worse at the game, but good on them, more power to them. And it feels rewarding for better players, so it feels fair for both. Probably not the best example, but that's how I would design it personally. So but before I end the video here, I absolutely love this game to bits. I think it's so fun. See, I scummed, all right? I bought the premium deluxe, whatever it was, all right? In Australia, that's $200. I spent $200 and bought this game because I loved the franchise. Did I do it? I just told you. Yes, I did. Was I disappointed in the purchase? I got 360 hours in the game. I love the game. I think it's so fun. I really enjoy it, and I want this game to be the best because, well, it's the newest installment, and two, I love the franchise. Did the same thing with Borderlands 3. I bought the premium edition, $150 Australian. I bought the biggest version of this game, and I love it. I love this game. I'm not disappointed, and it's probably my personal game of the year for 2025. I love this game, but that's how I'll design it. I really think that's what I would design if Gearbox said to me, "You're going to be in charge for 24 hours." That's how it is on the drop rate system. They're doing great with the updates, though. They're doing really good. They know what they've had some hiccups, but I think adding ultimate scaling is not here because I'm on a low level character. But having ultimate drop rate scaling, I think is brilliant. They just have a bad baseline. 3% for a bod or 3% for a whatever gun you're farming is actually ridiculous. Like, you'll go mentally and physically insane for that. Plus, with all the phosphines, who's going to farm all the phosphines legitimately at that drop rate? That is actually mentally distorting, and I think that's really bad for the player base. I think what they're doing in updates, especially the one that just went, is phenomenal. They're doing, anyway, what are your update notes? They're doing phenomenal. I think they're doing really, really well. Check them out at borderlands.com. It says there. But man, it's phenomenal. Bloom Reaper, I like him. He's pretty cool. Not a fan of his boss arena being an absolute death pit, personally. But he's fun. I like him. I love they brought back the face puncher. I love that gun in Borderlands 3 and Stab-O-Matic in Wonderlands. But that's my opinion on the drop rate system. I love the game, but that's my opinion, and that's how I'll design a drop rate system. So I'll see you guys next video. And this video is probably a bit of a rant, but I get really excited, so I talk a lot. So I apologize. This video was very annoying, and I never shut it up during it. But I'm about to shut up now. So I'll see you guys next video. So yeah, see yous. Yeah.